We're joined by Mrinal Satish, someone who was part of that committee but has also done wide-ranging work on rape sentencing, rape trials and the two-finger test. My first question to you is that if a medical report does indicate that a rape survivor had a sexual history or had a sexual past, why is it so important for our legal process to know that?
Section 375 of the Indian Penal Code says that a man commits rape if he has intercourse with a woman without her consent. So the issue for consideration before courts is whether the woman consented. Courts have said that the testimony can solely be used without using any other evidence to convict the accused. Medical evidence is a corroboratory evidence which can add to that. Now, what courts have done is they have to figure out whether the woman is actually stating the truth or not. And post the Mathura case, when amendments were made to the law, you have, just before the amendment was made to the law, Supreme Court decision which talked about tests using which you can figure out whether a woman was lying or not lying. And the importance there was given to the issue of chastity. The court said that an Indian woman would not lie about being raped because she treasures her chastity. So it's in that context that the medical examination becomes important, because ostensibly the two-finger test shows sexual history, and when that comes into the system, it comes into court evidence, then you show that okay, this woman has had intercourse before, which means that she's not someone who's quote-unquote chaste, which is why you would not trust her testimony.
There could be some kind of a prejudice that could creep in voluntary or involuntary.
Yes, certainly. So now you cannot ask a woman in her cross-examination as to whether she is habituated to intercourse. But the indirect way that would come into evidence is through the medical report, because doctors still certify that they can insert 1, 2 or more fingers.
Is there an indication that courts consider acquaintance rape to be less traumatic than rape by a stranger?
It does, definitely, and that's not only in India. Across the world, there's a rape myth that acquaintance rape is less traumatic than rape by a stranger. And what I found was that when it's a case of acquaintance rape, courts tend to give lesser sentences because they believe the trauma was less, and it's articulated as well in certain situations that they knew each other, so therefore there's also possibility of reaching some sort of compromise or settlement.
In your research, is there now a credible need for these medical protocols to be re-examined, re-looked, even training for that matter?
If you look at the first manual that was written for medical jurisprudence, that's a textbook of medical jurisprudence in the 19th century, that began with the assumption that Indian women, and this is the British of course, the Indian women lie about everything, and especially about being raped. So medical textbooks at that point of time spoke about how you need to look at the state of the hymen, because a hymen, ruptured hymen would indicate that there was intercourse, and again the issue of habituation and past sexual history came in. Now when Indian authors started writing medical textbooks, they picked up on the same stereotypes and continued with that, but they found that the rupture of the hymen, they found hymen intact even in people who had said that they had had intercourse, and which is why they came up with the two-finger test. They classified women into true virgins and false virgins, and said that if the doctor is able to insert 2 fingers, that indicates that the person has had intercourse earlier. And since there were no real protocols that governments had set forth at that point of time, these textbooks became sort of the framework which is used.
On that note, Mrinal, thanks so much for joining us here on the Citizen Journalist Show.